Caroline, Adventures in Manhattan and Lessons in Etiquette by Patricia Napier-Fitzpatrick. Read by actress Alexandra Napier and the author Patricia Napier-Fitzpatrick as Aunt Patty. Chapter 1. Caroline arrives in New York.
It was with great trepidation that I stepped off the airplane at LaGuardia Airport in New York. I was going to be spending the next year of my life with my Aunt Patty. Now that my father was gone, after a long illness, my mother had decided to pursue her lifelong dream of becoming a chef. This involved spending a year in Paris at the Culinary Institute. The only thing holding her back was me, her 9-year-old daughter. But thanks to my Aunt Patty, she was on her way to Paris to pursue her dream. Aunt Patty, you see, lives in a large apartment on Fifth Avenue with her beloved Annabelle, a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel. She had always wanted to have children, but never did, so this was her chance to be a mother. And I was the child she was going to mother. Well, needless to say, I was a little nervous. If you knew my aunt, you would understand why. She was so different from my mother that I wondered if they really were sisters. My mother is very friendly and down to earth, and Aunt Patty is reserved and very formal. They both went to boarding school, love to sing and watch old movies, and yet that is as far as their likeness goes. So, from my comfortable and happy life in Lexington, Kentucky, I was to be thrust into the sophisticated world of Manhattan.
Caroline, I'm over here.
There she was, beaming, which was so unlike her.
Oh, I'm so happy to see you. My, look how tall you've grown, and you're so pretty,
she said. She hugged me.
We're going to have such a good time together. Let's get your luggage and we can go home.
Home? This is not my home, I thought, but she seemed so happy that I didn't say anything. After we retrieved my luggage, a rather large man I didn't know came and took my bag. It turned out that he was the limousine driver my aunt had hired to pick me up and take us back to Manhattan.
Come, Caroline, let's get in the car. Say thank you to the driver when he opens the door for you, because any time someone does something for you, you must say thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Driver, I said. Sitting back in the car with my Aunt Patty felt very comfortable after being in the crowded airplane. Everyone was very nice to me on the plane, but I had to sit by people I didn't know, and I was starting to miss my mother. So when Aunt Patty took my hand and smiled at me, I felt much better. As if she had read my thoughts, she said,
I hope you will be happy here with me. I know you're going to miss your mother, but she will be spending Christmas with us. You'll be surprised at how quickly the time will go. New York is a wonderful city with so many things to see and do.
It was already dark when we left the airport. I was mesmerized by the lights from all the buildings in Manhattan twinkling on the water.
It's a bit like Van Gogh's Starry Night, isn't it?
I don't know. Who is Van Gogh?
He was a very famous Dutch painter who lived in the 19th century. When we go to the Museum of Modern Art, I'll show you his painting.
It was late by the time we arrived at my aunt's apartment, so the only thing I remember was the driver opening the car door and then the doorman opening the door to her apartment building. We got into an elevator and went to my new home, at least for the next year. I had never been separated from my mother, and even though my aunt scared me a little, I asked her to come tuck me in and say my prayers with me. I wanted her to say the prayer that my mother said with me every night when she tucked me in. Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. If I should die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take. I looked over at my aunt, and she had tears in her eyes. I was the one who should have had tears in her eyes that night, I thought. And then she told me why she was sad.
I haven't heard that prayer in over 30 years, but I remember it as clearly as if it were yesterday. My mother, your grandmother, taught me that prayer when I was a child. No matter how busy she was, she always came to your mother's and my room to say it with us.
As she spoke, I closed my eyes and went to sleep.